project that we're going to talk about. We did a project where we asked students to look at Best Buy stores in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is what we're going to try to show you a little bit more detail. How am I doing on time?
You're 45 minutes in.
Okay. Best Buy has done their own marketing research, and they have come up with 5 segments. And of course, Best Buy is in a position to do this because they can look at their customers. Okay, one of the handicaps for people trying to do this kind of research is, you cannot go to a company and say, give me your customer information, we'd like to play around with it. They just aren't going to do that. So what you have to do, what we have to do is basically we use the data from, say, MediaMark, the business analyst data, and do that. It would be wonderful if we had this kind of data, but you aren't going to get, or if you do get this kind of data, you're going to have so many restrictions on what you can do with it, you probably couldn't publish anything out of it. So, it might be of limited interest to a lot of folks. But anyways, they have 5 segments. Bobby, you want to, maybe you know these segments better than I do. You want to say a little bit more about the segments?
Take over from here?
What's that?
Shall I take over?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, this is
where
really
is
your
the
project.
Okay, I only have one marketing person in here, so.
Tag, I'm it.
Okay. Do the rest of you know what a segment is? Oh, I've got 2. I'm sorry, I knew that yesterday too, didn't I? Small Business Development Center and Marketing. Right. When we're talking about a market segment, y'all know what a market segment is? Yes? Okay, so what they've done is they've hired a third-party marketing firm taking their customer data to come up with the 5 segments who are here. And we have 5 segments there. I did a little project yesterday for a couple of you who were here, and we worked with the students, and we did a little exercise where the students took the Best Buy store that's in Auburn and the Best Buy store that's up in Birmingham, and we tried to see which ones of these segments are in each of the stores, because what they are doing is they're changing the merchandising in each of their stores based upon which one of the segments. Okay, so they are targeting based upon the segments that they have. So these are the 5 segments. Buzz is your students. Your students are Buzz. They're very into technology. They know what's going on. They are the kind of the techno geeks that are out there, and so Best Buy knows that, and they're trying to go after that group. A second group is Barry. Barry's already graduated. He has a good job. He's making it. He has the money to spend on technology. He might not be as up on technology as Buzz, okay, because Buzz is kind of just here and really likes that technology. So he wants to go into Best Buy. He wants to go to somebody that knows what's going on, maybe go into their Magnolia Centers. Are y'all familiar with the Magnolia Centers? In the Magnolia Centers, that is like a home theater area. And if you go into a Best Buy store, I would guess in Birmingham, I haven't been in Birmingham, they will have an interior store, which is a Magnolia. No, they don't have one. Here. Okay. In Charlotte, North Carolina, which I can talk about and we have some data on, in their Blakeney store, they have a Magnolia. And you can go in there and you can sit down. You can kind of put yourself in the atmosphere of having a home theater. So if you're one of those really big homes that you have an extra room where you can put it in and put a home theater in, you can feel that environment when you walk into the store. So you can go sit down in the chair. You can see the movie in front of you. You can listen to the sound system. And you can say, I want that in my home, and Best Buy can bring the whole thing and install it in your home. And so that's what Barry is looking at. The Jill is mom. Mom is interested mostly in her kids, and so there are some subdivisions under mom depending on how old her kids are, but mom is always interested in her kids. And Jill may be married to Barry, okay? And Jill is going to influence what Barry buys, and so mom's going to want a camera where she can take pictures of the kids, and she's going to want a way to get that message out to grandma and to the kids' friends and to her friends, and so she's going to influence what goes into that home theater and what can be played on those on that equipment that Barry's going to buy. Then there's Ray, who's a family man, and they've actually given Ray a wife. Her name is Marie. And Ray is more of living in the suburbs. Ray wants to do everything for his kids that Barry does for his, but he doesn't have the money to do that. And so instead of buying the home theater, he's going to buy a DVD. Instead of buying Blu-ray, he's going to buy a DVD, okay? So Ray is trying to kind of keep up with things. He wants to buy everything that he can because his kids are coming home saying the same thing, right? If y'all have kids, they come home and they say, I want because my friend has. So, you know, Ray is in that kind of position. So it's going to be a little bit different in terms of how they merchandise the store. And finally, they have a Best Buy for Business. And the Best Buy for Business is going to be the group of people who have small businesses that the Small Business Development Center may be helping, and they're going to be buying, maybe I want 6 computers, I want the Geek Squad to come and install those, I want special kinds of things for my particular business. And so what we did was to with the kids, we let them kind of figure out which one of these types of segments would go in the particular stores here. I'm going to show you what we did here in the Charlotte area. I forgot to tell you, I had to do this disclaimer I was supposed to do up front. I know that I have a couple of graduate student geography people here. I am not a geographer. David is not a geographer. So we're coming from the business perspective. And so I just kind of want you to know that up front. We're coming from the perspective of putting Best Buy's information into Business Analyst with a map that's already created rather than starting from scratch and creating our own kinds of maps. Okay, so in Business Analyst, what we're able to do is we're able to pick up this kind of information. We have customer segmentation information, and we have demographic information, which is any kind of information that you could get from the census. All of that information is dumped into the Business Analyst software. We also have what's called psychographic information, and psychographic information is information where they have gone out. It's MRI plus data where they've gone out and they've asked people in surveys, what have you purchased in the last 12 months? And they combine that with the demographic information, so I now know what you've purchased. I also ask you, what do you read? What do you listen to? What do you watch? So I know what television shows you've watched. I know all of that information, combine it with the demographic information. Then I can combine that with the behavioral information. I can look at consumer behavior. What have you actually purchased in the last 12 months? So if you've purchased a DVD in the last 12 months, I can look at that in this program and I can say, okay, people have purchased DVDs in the last 12 months, are mainly in the age group of 18 to 24, and they watch these types of shows. So I can do there's a lot of information in this. The hardest part for the students is figuring out, okay, what do you want me to pull out of this, Dr. Fuller? What do you want? Instead of them saying, okay, I don't have to go to the library and Dr. Fuller's eliminated all this stuff that I have to do, they now are coming back to me and saying, okay, there's so much here. What do you want? And I'm saying, it's not what I want. You are the marketing person and you have to decide what it is that would best build a case if you had to tell Best Buy how to merchandise their store, because that's what their assignment is going to be. How do you merchandise your store and how do you reach your local audience that's out there?
And this is where that intelligence, design, and choice idea from Simon comes in. And it's good to put students in that environment. You've got this huge amount of data, and if you're working for a client, you have to decide what's most relevant for that client to solve the problem. And so they're uncomfortable with that because it's hard to put them in that situation in an undergraduate curriculum. And so that's one of the, I think, the really great attributes of these activities.
Okay. This is an outline of the data that we want the students to get. We're asking them for a merchandise assortment. We're also asking them for a store layout, depending upon whether it's Ray or Barry or Jill or Buzz. And we're asking them to tailor what type of service this store should offer, because a Barry is going to need the most service that is there. So what is going to be different from that, from what Buzz is looking for, what Ray is looking for in the services that they do. Okay? As we were, at this point, I let the kids look at the Birmingham stores and the Montgomery store and the Tuscaloosa store, and then they came up with, if we're looking at the store that you have here, I'm assuming it's going to look more like the first one. This is the new stores